Before I start the show, one more call to you guys to help raise money for Save a Brain, Wish, and Chill Foundations. Go to our website, FNRadpodcast.com, and buy a $5 item to be entered to win PJ Gustafson's Pro Model Death Label snowboard with union bindings. The FNRad Snowboard Podcast is presented by Flojoy Water. Season 7 is sponsored by Burton Snowboards, founded in 1977 by Jake Burton Carpenter. With nearly 50 years of industry-leading innovation, Burton's purpose is clear: make great products, minimize harm to the environment, positively impact the lives they touch, and have as much fun as possible. All the Burton gear I've been riding is next level. For listeners in the Lower Mainland, Burton recently opened a flagship store on West 4th in Vancouver, as well as a partner store in Banff with Unlimited. Visit your local Burton retailer. Bluebird Coffee Tuning and Rentals in Squamish, BC is the coolest new stop just 20 seconds off the Sea to Sky Highway on your way to Whistler. Drop in for the world's best cup of coffee, killer smoothies, and a true local vibe born out of 90s snowboard culture and music. They offer performance ski and snowboard tunes with state-of-the-art equipment. They've got premium rental fleets of Jones, Solomon, Libtech, and Burton, including Burton Step-Ons. And if you haven't gotten yourself one yet, Bluebird will even sell you a rad power bike. These bikes are so fun. For a blend of expert knowledge, convenience, and a lot of charm, stop in and say hi to Bluebird, the raddest mandatory new stop on your way to Whistler. Fixed bindings are tool-free bindings that focus on dependability and strength while providing ease of adjustability. I've been riding fixed bindings for a couple of seasons now and have had exactly 0 issues. It's no wonder they've got a lifetime guarantee. Do yourself a favor and visit fixbindingco.com. Lock in and let go with Anon's magnetic face mask integration, built to keep you seamlessly covered from the elements, and Magnatech quick lens change technology that makes swapping lenses effortless even with gloves or mitts on. Enhance contrast and clarity with perceived lenses and get the most accurate perception of the surrounding environment regardless of light and weather conditions. Clarity starts where distraction ends. Full face coverage, complete presence. Check out Anon's helmets, goggles, and MFI face masks at an Anon dealer near you or at AnonOptics.com. Hey listeners, this one's for you. Upline Brewing is beer for snowboarders by longtime Pacific Northwest shredder and FNRad listener Carl Montoya, who started Upline so you can crack a cold one anytime. No buzz, no slowdown, just good vibes. Unlike most NA beers, these actually taste legit and they're brewed with adaptogens for a mellow uplift. The Steezy Golden Lager and Crushin' IPA come in at just 25 and 50 calories and feature artwork from local legends like Quincy Quigg. Have one at lunch, grab another lap, hit the after party, and still wake up for first chair or the bank slalom podium. Drinking regular beers, toss some Uplines into the lineup. The natural electrolytes help you stay hydrated and keep crushing. FNRad listeners score 15% off at uplinebrewing.com with code FNRAD, or set up a subscription, save more, and never run out. Upline Brewing, brewed to adapt, crafted to elevate. Support also comes from the Pro Standard. Ken Achenbach has done it again with the push-button quick release for step-on bindings. Get them at prostandard.com before they sell out. Pacific Border, Vancouver's premium snow skate and surf shop on West 4th Avenue. Check out pacificborder.com. And 1910, the collaborative artworks of Jamie Lynn and Scof, two friends on a creative journey together, bonded by their love of art, music, and snowboarding. Go to the number 9, teen10.com for their latest collection. We need to thank our friends at Mount Seymour, Grouse Mountain, and Cypress Mountain for their continued support of FNRad, as well as Essential Toothpaste tabs. I love them, I use them, go buy them today. Pear ran Vancouver's Boardroom Snowboard Shop from '94 through the golden years of snowboarding as an assistant manager, buyer, and eventually as the general manager. He introduced categories like skateboarding, streetwear, and surfing. Pear was an integral part in bringing brands together to support events, premieres, and parties, that will surely never be replicated. From an indoor quarterpipe event to a slopestyle series on Mount Seymour and decades of innovations in snowboarding, Pear managed the shop with integrity and heart. And then one day, he was just gone.
It was the Sims 1400 FE?
That's
or was
early.
it SE?
FE.
FE.
Yeah.
So it was, the old boards were like laminated like a skate,
Yep.
vertical, versus I think the Kidwell at the time had the horizontal tail or whatever, horizontal lamp.
Yeah.
And I wanted the pocket knife, but there was no way of getting it. And Neil had gotten this, and I was just like, okay. And we were going to do a trip down to Jay Peak with Vento and Mike Fayback. And so it was like, okay, I guess this is the board for me. There's no pocket knife coming, so here we are. And it was like a brick, There was barely any flex to it whatsoever. And it was like I think it was a swallowtail even.
It was.
Yeah. And the pointy nose, and it was just.
What color was it? Red?
White.
White.
It was white with the yellow and kind of bluish, greenish stripes.
Yeah. There's some resale value in those FEs, because I didn't know this before I started the show, but there was a time, and that during that time of the FE series, when Sims was actually trouncing Burton. Like the Burton boards were not good.
That was the brand to have at the time. That was pre Mystery Air and all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, depending on where you lived or what you were into, I guess I would say.
Still, though, I think there was an objective, what rode better. Like looking back, some people could make those, the Burton boards of that time work, like the old Elites and stuff. But sure. But not like the
those
FE.
were like Snowtex and screw-on edges or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be that harsh, but when you looked at the videos and I can't remember what the name of that old Sims video was with. Oh
God, I know the one where
Kidwell's actually riding,
he's doing the tripods all the time, backwards and putting his
So that era of Sims was just like groundbreaking. It was awesome.
I wasn't even into snowboarding yet at that point. I didn't get until Snowboarders in Exile, which is
that's 89.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm predating that one, but
no. If you had an FE, I didn't like an FE was already old when I got to the table.
Right.
Like the Mystery Air for me was the ketchup mustard Mystery Air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even the one.
Not the black one.
Not the black one. Right. So you were probably into it 2 years before me.
Well, then do you know what year that was? Because I've been wondering how far back or what age I was.
So I'd say 1986. If the FE was like new on the shelf, it could even be 85, but 86. So you'd be 13. Was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Would that make sense? You're like 13 years old.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out because I started it off the wall when I was like, I think 12, and I could only work for product. Like I couldn't be paid. So for the first couple of years, it was just like I wanted knee pads to skate for the half pipes. I wanted this. So I'd work Saturdays, and Neil would flow me product.
That is unbelievable. How did you figure out that the shop was even there? Was it just down the street from your house or something?
No. So when I was young, the kids in Oakville, Rudy's was the shop, and we were getting skateboards from them. And my father would go in, and I went with him once the first time I think to buy a skate, and he'd go and get stickers after work some days or whatever.
Sweet.
And then the word on the street was there was a shop opening on Kerr, and it was off the wall. So kids like Roms, what you were interested in something, we'd go down there. Like our school was downtown, so Kerr Street wasn't that far, and we'd go skate over there after. And like anyone, I just kind of hung out,
sure.
as the Grom, at the skate shop, and next thing you know, I was just kind of like helping out.
Yeah.
And then Neil said, "Hey, are you interested in helping out on weekends or whatever else when we need like Saturdays?" So, and that just evolved, I guess. I don't know. And then eventually I was legal to work, being paid, which I think is 14.
It is 14.
Yeah.
You have to get a social insurance number.
Right.
And you can only get that when you were 14.
14.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just kind of did that throughout high school really, and I was in different areas, like Mark Brazier. I remember when I wanted to start racing, because that was the slalom was the next thing, right?
Yep.
And it was like getting Kemper like arm for doing the gates.
bashing.
Exactly, the gate bashes, the legs,
Yeah.
and then got the super long 181 Sims racing board with the carbon bit.
I had a 170
I got in trouble for that one. Actually.
Aggressor.
That was a bad one.
Yeah, the 181's too long.
It's too long. But Neil wasn't happy with me over that.
Why?
Another
No, tell it. Yeah, why?
Well, because he would do the Can-Ams.
Yes. Yeah, Talisman and down in New York.
And I
Kissing Bridge.
would go and help out at those when I could or whatever. And then he would go up early to set up. And then I asked him, I looking back, I don't know why I did this, but I asked him, could I, I don't have all the money yet to buy that board, but can I use it for the race this weekend? Because I was racing junior, you know, and junior was fast, and I don't know, I just wanted the longer board, and he's like, no, you can't take that yet until, and then I'm just like, you can't be real. So I show up with it like on the Saturday or whatever, and then I used it, and of course he's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing?
I told you
I told you no, and I'm just like,
did it have inserts at least, or did you have to drill it out?
No, it had inserts.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not that bad.
No, but it's just, it was a lesson.
You
don't take something you're not allowed to have. You didn't pay for it. I'm like, okay, got it. Life lessons early on in life, in the business side of things, right? Like what not to do.
Right.
And actually, he was always really good with that. We'd be there sometimes talking about skates. You wouldn't think about it. I'd be talking with whoever, not Cashin, but some other person that was there the day. Like, thinking you're all cool. I really don't like that deck. And then, this is my favorite deck, and that one sucks. And meanwhile, there's a parent there trying to buy a skate for their kid, and the kid, Neil afterwards going, you don't know, maybe that kid wanted that. It was his favorite board. It's just like things like that you never really clue into as a child. And you're like, right, shut up. It might take your opinions. It doesn't matter. It's not.
Well, it's good that you were doing that when you were a kid,
Yeah.
Because I had kids when I worked at the Lonsdale store. I remember somebody saying, and I'm not going to call out her name, but that, you don't want those DC boots. They're owned by Nike anyway.
Right.
And Nike sucks.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first of all, they're not owned by Nike. I don't know where you're getting your information from. And second of all, we never tell someone that something we're trying to sell sucks.
Yeah, it's there for a reason. Somebody bought it. We have to sell it. It's, whether you like it or not, that is your job.
Yeah, we're hoping someone likes it.
For the right person.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. I don't know, in the 12 years or so that we worked together, 2007, from 1993 to 2007 is 14 years. But I left a couple of times.
You were 93.
Okay, yeah, I started in the fall of 93. So I was there for a couple of months before you showed up.
Yeah, because I was the first 2 years to university, and then I started after that.
Yeah.
So it would have been 94.
Okay, yeah,
Summer
that makes total sense. But we never really sat down and said, hey, where are you from? Like, what have you been doing before you got here? I didn't know anything really about you. Anything that I gleaned was just random stuff, like that you had a brother or whatever. Oh, you have 2 brothers. You have 3 brothers. Like, we didn't sit down and say like I didn't tell you about Skaters Pro in Sudbury, Ontario. And I just knew. I remember when you got the Hustler shirt, and I was like, cool, what's that? And you're like, oh, that's the new Off the Wall. And we did have one conversation where I said, shit, I've been to Off the Wall in Oakville. Yeah. Like, it's just up from the beach or something. Like, it was like a rad spot. And it was a cool shop, especially for Ontario. Like,
that era, I mean.
Yeah. There are all these little pocket shops all over the place. Hogtown, you go in there, Peter would like yell at you. You're like, oh, fuck, this place sucks. Yep. Oakville was nice. Like, so we might have even met at that Oakville shop, although at that time I probably would have remembered it. Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Neil he was someone good in the industry.
Talk about the Can-Ams, talk about the things that he did for the Ontario scene specifically. Like, he had there were a lot of people that came out of the Oakville area. Is that where Gerard and the Safe stuff was
Safe,
from?
Homeless with Mike. Mike Best. And then, there was like his homies, like Pachetti. Obviously later on was Dave, but that was a later addition, if you will. But he he was the president of this youth council thing. So he was always like very business minded and very hands-on into things, but he also liked to party. Like he had these two sides to him.
Yeah.
But the entrepreneur in him was evident, and that's also why he wanted to be involved in the music side of things for Tribal Sun and other things later on. You know, but he did the Can-Ams, as you mentioned. He was into skating events as well, and opened up a shop in Hamilton.
What was that one called?
Off the Wall. It was by the university.
Oh, sick.
And they later on had a house out there. That's where a lot of them were living, like with Pachetti and whatnot. And Kevin Bakota, of course, was part of that whole scene. And Kevin started Kevin Royce is his name, and he started Bakota. We called him Kevin Bakota from there on out. But,
yeah. His story's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was so cool to catch up with him. I don't know if you know this, but he was like living in a van for like 7 years. Just like kind of being a monk. He wasn't talking to anybody and just like thinking about life.
And now he's making peanut butter.
Yeah,
we spoke about 2 years ago, just after we opened the roastery.
Yeah.
And just did a video call to catch up and exchange stories about that whole side of things. So yeah, no, he's got a great history too, for sure.
He was just so inspiring where he came from and how he was hustling, and you know, the phone call from Burton. Like,
oh my God! Then I heard that the podcast or the stories. I was like, wow, there's so much of that history I had no idea.
Right, and you're right there. It's just going on while you guys are like going to contests together and snowboarding together and all that stuff.
It's crazy.
So did you go more race side before you moved out west, or was it
that was a moment
50-50?
You know what? That was a moment. I remember actually it was quite funny because Neil had set up this photo shoot for Off the Wall because for the riders he had this like kit, like this yellow jacket and pants with this a photo screened on the back of it, and so we were going up to Talisman to do this photo shoot, and I was tagging along as the shop rider. I got the kit because I'm just like the kid in the shop, right?
Sick.
And so we're doing there's this one hit on the side of the run. They're taking photos all day long, and then at the ski show the following fall, Vento keeps talking about it. He's always keen, always excited, and then he pulls out the brochures. And it's my photo that made it. And I'm just like the shop kid, right? And he was so bummed. It was just like, Pear's on there. What?
I love that.
Yeah. So it was, I don't know how we got sidetracked. I don't know why.
No, this is the track. This is it. I love this stuff.
So yeah. So racing was a thing, you know? Like it was whatever.
It was actually mandatory at the last Can-Am I went to. You couldn't compete in the half pipe if you didn't run the race the day before.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think because it was starting to get to the point where people were like, I don't want to race. Like Brian Langhorst and Dave Craig were like the young kids coming up at the Can-Ams, and they were competing against each other, only doing toe side turns in the race course. So they toe side around one gate, flip around, toe side in reverse.
Right.
And
just to make a
and they did all right. They were still like, top 10 in the race doing that. Like, this sucks. Like back in the day there were so many kids in the thing. Remember Talisman? Just the hotel was just, every room was a party. You just go up and down the halls.
Yeah. That was like the beginning of that era of like the snowboard party scene. Like it was crazy.
It was really crazy. I remember Darren Robinson winning everything too, and just
Darren, right?
Yeah. Just there were certain people like Jimmy Corvesi that like just stood out, that maybe didn't even win the contest, but just had like the best style and whatever they were doing at the contest.
And such a good person too, right?
Really nice person. He was like kind of the East Coast Kevin Sansalone to me, you know what I mean? Like they kind of had a similar vibe, that they were wild and
always
dialed.
Smiling, always happy.
Yeah, and happy, for sure. So what did you take at university?
So this is the thing. How do I say this? The last couple of years of high school, when they changed it to OACs in Ontario, it was like, I just kind of coasted in high school until it was like, okay, you just need to get these 6 credits and get whatever percentage you want in order to apply for your university you want. And, you could do that in 4 years back then with grade 12. The whole idea was that you could eliminate grade 13. And it was then that I was just like, I had my eyes on going to UBC. And UBC for me was just a way to get out west. 2 years prior to that, I went to the Achenbach's camps up in Whistler.
What? You went to Camp of Champs?
Yeah, I went with my friend Chuck or John. And that's, that was...
When you say Chuck or John...
Chuck is a friend of mine. No, John Graham is a guy from Oakville. We called him Chuck later on.
You and your nicknames. I had
Everyone's got...
no idea how... So I actually was... Here's the thing. I've told lots of people my idea, the story I'm telling myself about the Pear name. And I told people that your growing up name from your brothers was Egg. But when you came to UBC, you're like, no, call me Pear. I like that better. But that wasn't it at all.
I had it since I was 5.
All the brothers had nicknames. Yeah.
And it's like...
And so then friends would have nicknames too.
Yeah. Not everyone, but some. Yeah. And some were natural and some just kind of got forced upon them. And then some people like we still use them in some cases and then others don't, right? But,
so did you hate Pear at the beginning and then just grow to love it?
Well, I would never say I grew to love it. I think it was more, let's just clarify that. It was something that, became used around the house and then in school, and even the teachers started using it. And then it was just like, you just learn to accept things sometimes, instead of fighting it. And I was just like, whatever, I'm Pear. And
we had to do that because when you were saying I'm Pear at the boardroom, we were like, no, you're Colin.
We were Colin. So what happened was when I left to go to UBC, there was something like 14 kids from my high school that were going that I knew, and so it was this, how do you transition out of that? Like when everyone calls you like, now I'm an adult or whatever, and I'm in this new institution and everyone stopped, like I'm bigger than that. It was just like, whatever, here it is. So, but it was funny when I went to that snowboard camp, that's when I met Barnum and California Kid Swirl.
Wow.
And it was that era that made me kind of go back home and go, and actually I was with my uncle's place here where we are right now. He had a place in Gibson's, and me and Chuck went to Gibson's to stay with him, but then went over to the camp and back, blah blah blah. And it was amazing. And I just said, I'm moving to UBC no matter what. Like we toured the school. That was part of my dad's thing. It's like, I'll pay for your flights if you go check out the school. And it was just boom. So there we are. I get to the school, and then it was business courses or arts or whatever, and I did 2 years of it. And it wasn't for me. I just didn't want to be there. I went out there to be in the mountains, and all I was doing was either studying or partying. Yeah. And I had no money to go to Whistler. I went all this way to do this, but yet I couldn't partake. And I knew other kids from, Oakville who had money, and they were doing both, and I was like, this sucks. So yeah. And then I was studying overnight, listening to radio, and I thought I wanted to be a DJ. Sick. So I started working at Seafox.
What? Really?
On the overnight show. Yeah.
That's so sick.
And that was all pre-boardroom. So here I am doing this overnight show, volunteer work, thinking this is where I want to go. And then you start to learn the music scene and realizing this is kind of going to be a waste of time. Sure. And without getting too deep into it, then I was just like, okay, I need more money. So I'm going to go, what do I know? I know music and I know skate and snow. So I started applying to the shops. I went by the Boardroom and some of the other ones, and then boom.
Did you apply at like West Beach and PB and everywhere, like Vert and?
No, there were a couple. I went. Oh, geez,
Swamp House.
I think actually maybe I did go to Swamp House.
Yeah, down.
Yeah.
Fourth.
But there's a couple, but I mainly hit music shops.
Oh, cool.
I really did, like Zulu and whatnot. And then because that's in this mindset at that time, I want to be in music, DJ. So it was mainly music focused where I was applying, and I never worked in a record shop. Obviously, my background was skate. Yeah. And since I was, like I told you, so then Tina Burke, who yep. I guess at the time called me, not emailed me, but called me. Yeah. And did an interview and fast tracked forward, and that's when I first met you.
So you got hired through Tina.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like the controller at the time, or whatever the name they were calling it at that point. Yeah. And then you started as just an employee at the shop.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. It was this there was a position I was looking for. I applied. I remember having a pierced eyebrow, and I was just like replying to them after going, well, I'll take it out if it's going to be the groundbreaking the breaking thing point. So.
And didn't Murray say, tell him to take it out?
I think so.
I think so too.
Tina was like, no, it doesn't matter. And then Murray was kind of like, I think so. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But
I do remember something along the lines of like, no, we're going to get him to take that out.
Well, you know what? No, of course it is. Now I remember exactly what it was. It was not Murray. It was Mark Arnstein.
Oh, that's right.
And it was in water ski season.
Oh, my God.
Take it out in the summer.
That's
and
right.
in the snowboard season. It didn't matter. And Murray was like, what? No, I don't care.
Mark
That's what
Arnstein.
it was.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was assistant manager at the time. Lee was the manager.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark Arnstein was never assistant manager. I'm not sure. He was Mark, man.
He was Mark.
He became a real estate agent and bought a house really close to here. That was super sick. I saw him years later. He was adopted, if you can believe this, by the owners of London Drugs.
That's right.
That was his upbringing, was like through the people who own London Drugs.
Right.
His parents.
I remember him talking about London Drugs a lot.
Yeah, sure. It was okay. So this is a cool era because the water ski shop was called High Output Water Sports, and there were 2 awnings, and they would put the High Output Water Sports awning on, and all the snowboard stuff would move to the back for a few weeks, and then it would just go away.
Switch over. Yeah.
And we would be working in a water ski shop. So when we met, and it could be confusing because somebody would show up and they got hired by Tina, and it could be because they water skied, you know.
Yeah.
Scarpa was around that same time, right?
Yeah, he was like, actually maybe 2 years later.
Oh, really?
1 year or 2 years
okay,
later. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking there was that Troy guy. He came in and he was wearing, you might have hired him. He was wearing a business suit. And I was like, man, that's how you get the job at the water ski shop.
Well, that's where these guys were from, right? A lot of them, that's what the
Yeah.
truth of it. And that's what was always missing in the summer. It was like, how do you change over? It was easy to find snowboard kids.
Mm-hmm.
And but the backbone of the business had always been water sports, right?
Right.
From a wholesale standpoint. And
totally.
So when it came to that, and the clientele was very different between the two. And
it was not a lot of crossover.
No, now it's different with wakeboarding and wake surfing, whatever else.
Yeah, there wasn't really wakeboarding at that time. It was just starting to come out.
Right. It was ski.
It was still rudimentary. It was mostly skis. So we'd be in this store that was like anti-ski for all winter, just hating on skiers.
Downhill skiing, yeah.
And then turning into a ski shop for water skiing.
Yeah.
And
it was such a small market, and they all knew Murray, and they would always come in and name drop or want to talk to him personally, and they would look at us like bums. I think, why are you talking to me about this?
Yeah, that's right. They would look at us like bums.
Yeah.
I remember taking those summers off. I went down to Mount Hood for Ice Age 1 year, and then I think I broke my leg the next year, and I had that summer off.
And then the wakeboard accident.
Yeah. And then the summer after that was, I think I went to UBC or BCIT for carpentry or something. Like I really didn't want to work in the water ski shop. It wasn't my passion.
Well, truthfully, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but your gig at the time was riding.
Yes.
You wanted to ride. You wanted to be a pro. You had sponsorships.
Totally.
If you could ride 24/7, the shop was giving you some cash flow.
Yeah, it was sick.
So of course in the summertime, it's not your gig, right?
Get the hell out of there. Right. Get the hell out of there.
So, yeah.
But I was always happy that I had my job back in the fall, because if there was one thing about the shop, I fucking loved working at the shop. Time went by fast. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of autonomy, you were basically, by year 1 or something, you were the manager, right? Lee Billenkoff leaves.
Lee was there, left, and then Sean. Sean was hired the same weekend as me.
Yeah.
And
Sean Fulton.
Yeah. And Fulton took over, and then, I think and Murray had a hard time working together at times. And then, or Sean had a hard time anyway. And then United hired him.
That's right.
And he left to go work for Don Weber. Mm-hmm. And then there was a void. And it was like, I was kind of, at that time, I was like, I remember going to the staff meetings, and I just had a meeting with Murray, and I was just telling my brother the story, and I was like, hey, I'm interested in that position, you know, of management. And he's like, you know, saying, you know, what experience do you have? You know, like how are you going to come in? Like he's basically essentially wanting to look outside. And I get that too. I mean, I totally do. But he was asking me the questions, you know, which was kind of like, you know, what do you know? How are you going to come in here? How are you going to, you know, pretty much be a manager to these other workers of yours, blah, blah, blah. And I just said to him, look, I didn't give him an ultimatum, but I basically said, look, if you don't give me this, then I have no room for growth. There's nothing here for me, right?
Right.
It wasn't an ultimatum. It was literally just me being honest, saying, I'm not quitting, and I'm going to continue doing the best I can, but you've really kind of just maxed me out already. And at that time, I think I had been assistant manager because under Sean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then it was.
I think I was also assistant manager under Sean at that point.
Yeah. I think we both. Whatever. Yeah. It's a little foggy.
I remember a Blue Moon luncheon where you and Murray pitched the idea that you and I would co-manage the shop.
Right.
And I was like, fuck no, man. Like, I only want to work 4 days a week. Like, I was like the ultimate, like, bad employee. Like, I'm like, I want to work less, not more. And
I mean, well, Ken, that's, you know, it was like not the slope style, the original Big Air. It was your idea to do one in each local mountain.
Thanks. That was sweet.
No, it was. It was like, do each local mountains, put this together, and you always had ideas and whatnot. It was.
I love snowboarding. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I loved that we were like this big snowboard shop, and I really loved meeting the people, like when we met Steve Van Doren and people that were like, you know, the namesakes of some of these companies. I loved that, but I never understood what we were doing. I didn't look and go, oh, this is a business that turns these products into money, and that's the point of it. I was like, oh, I think the point of it is to be involved in
lifestyle.
Snowboarding. Yeah.
Lifestyle versus business.
And you straddled the line. You straddled that line really well. And from what I remember, you just said to Murray, like, my goal is to run a snowboard shop. If I don't run the Boardroom, then I'll go run another snowboard shop. Like, there's plenty.
Well, like, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't really like that. It was more like, I need progression, and what am I doing this for? And that's, at this point, the whole radio thing was out the back door. Like, I wasn't doing this anymore. And so I was just really kind of going, where do I fit in, and what do I do? And so it was actually the staff meeting in the warehouse that, you know, a couple of weeks later, that he made an announcement that I was going to be the new manager, but he hadn't actually said anything to me. So it was kind of like, it caught me by surprise too, right? And then that's how it all kind of came to front. And then, yeah, I don't know. Then from there, it was...
Let's talk about what era it was, like, because this is peak golden era snowboarding, right? Like, it's pre-women's snowboard specific gear, or it's right on that cusp, right?
It's like the Vans Lemming kind of world, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Airwalk.
And Murray's the distributor for LibTech, so we're crushing it with LibTech stuff.
Yep.
The new Jamie Lynn stuff had just come out. The Jason Ford, like the second run of Ride, like Epic boards had come out, like with the cartoons and all that stuff. Airwalk boots were just destroying.
It was crazy.
Vans was coming in with like new and weird, cool stuff.
Asians were coming in buying 50 snowboards at a time.
And 5 board bags, and just like leaving with so many in a taxi to the airport.
Yep.
Like, they
on their way out of town. It just
it was insane. It was insane.
Yeah.
There were a few dudes that had shops over in Japan that would come over. A couple seasons in a row they did it, and it was, we'd be like, oh my God, that guy's here again. He would just point at the wall. I can remember you saying, like, no, man, like, we need some of these for the rest of the season. We can't sell you everything off the wall.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, it sounds like it makes some sense. I'm already dealing with that with coffee right now. It's like, you know, like, okay, wait, that's the last few bags of this. So there's all this other, you know, shift things around, or I'm going to roast this in 2 weeks, not now. So it's like, how do you manage inventory and what your expectations are for certain people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't remember. I just remember when the story back then was, we were distributors for certain brands, and of course it's obvious you got longer margins in certain things you're selling.
Yeah.
But also certain brands had like a cease and desist on this type of thing, and it was just like, you're not allowed to do this, and there's serial numbers involved later on.
Yeah.
And I think that was also a lot of like control as to which brands people were buying or not buying.
Yeah.
But then eventually it just all got kiboshed. It was like, no, this is not happening anymore, and
Yeah,
rightfully
I
so.
when that happened,
it's gray marketing, and
Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought of it as gray marketing. You just come over and you've got money. You're paying retail. It's like there's
it's funny because it was
law
retail.
against that.
It was full price.
It was full price. It was insane. That was the rumor, was that we were selling it for wholesale to those guys.
No. It was all full price.
Dude, at that time, I remember the board numbers being like, I remember stacks and stacks of boards and being out to zero, like running out of like, do you have any boards? We're like, we've got 4 boards left out of like 1,500 boards or whatever. I don't even know what the numbers were, but they were. And at the point that you became the manager and the buyer, there was a huge expansion in snowboarding in general. And because we didn't have Burton, it seemed like the plan seemed to be like, all right, let's try and bring in every little cool brand that we can.
I think that was before me. I think you guys had a lot of brands before I came in. And then when
it might have
you
been
said the buyer
Fulton.
a lot, let's be honest, it was a few of us buying. It was, it
right,
was a group effort as to what was cool, what was hip. I may have crunched the numbers a little bit more, but the rest of us all were kind of on board with like, this is what's working, this is what's not.
Yeah, I forget because
even we even talking to Eddie Lee about about like Soup Kitchen and getting perspectives on things from the whole team, because that's what it was then. It was so much going on. It was so much out there at once, and it was like, what can give us flavor?
Fish Paw, remember Fish Paw? Oh my God, I think that we were, as the Boardroom had to compete with West Beach and Pacific Border. I think because we were out from under the Burton thumb, we were able to get some sick brands.
You had so much more possibilities because you didn't have a gun to your head. We had, it was 27 or 30 snowboard brands one year at the max, I think. Like brands, let alone models and everything else.
Yeah.
In depth. And on one hand, you're kind of going, well, it would have been really nice to have Burton so we could sell that custom that all these people are coming and asking for.
Yeah.
On the other hand, as for us, it was actually more exciting to be able to deal with more people in the industry, deal with more riders,
sell someone a purged board or whatever, or a Division 23.
And that's what separated that shop from everybody else, right? And as the industry grew, sure, we consolidated what we were doing, but it diversified us from every other shop on the planet because everyone did Burton.
That's true. Yeah, we also, and it was there when I showed up in '93. Murray would put retail, and then he'd put everything at 10% off retail right at the beginning. And I know you were a big proponent against that, and I was like, how are we ever going to sell anything? I was just used to giving everyone a discount. People wouldn't even ask for a discount. We'd give it to them. Oh, you're buying socks too? Okay, we'll just throw those in.
Throw a discount on you. Those are free. Yeah.
It was, there was this kind of lack mentality, lack of customers mentality from the beginning. Like, oh, we got to draw them in with this. But then we would sell out of stuff at 10% off. It's like, why didn't we just sell it at regular price?
Yeah, I mean, I think now, look, in hindsight, that was an obvious discussion. Like, put it at regular, and if you need to make a deal, make a deal.
Right.
But just to give it away at the beginning was kind of...
Right.
Now, I understand why that started, I guess. It was, again, trying to be the Costco game, if you will, or something that's just always like lower. I'll always be 10% lower than everybody else. Right. And
dude, when you started, were we open on Sundays?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because the first year I was there, we weren't even open on Sundays. That's how long ago it was. It was like Sundays, everyone was off Sundays because everything on West 4th was completely closed.
You're right, actually. I don't recall.
Yeah, it was nuts. I remember when they were like, oh, they're going to let us open on Sundays. I'm like, oh, shit. Really?
That, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
No, but you definitely brought an expertise to the game and a quiet influence on Murray that was going in the right direction. Like someone like me, or maybe like a Jeff Andrick, we were a little bit more aggressively like, oh, you can't do something that's not cool. But we didn't really have like the data set to say like, hey, you know what? You could probably still sell all your water ski stuff a lot out of North Van, even, because most of the people know you and wouldn't mind going there. And if we kept this store like action sports throughout the summer, there's enough brands to carry it.
So here's the thing, like I deal with this now, even it's like everyone's got their opinion, right?
Absolutely.
And I learned a lot from Neil in a sense, like it's their business and they're going to want to do some things their way. And that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And if you can help achieve that, but also recognize what you were just talking about, X, Y, Z, and the other person saying, and they're in the know of what's going on the street. If you can, you know, somehow influence it that way as well to manage a balance between the two, you know? Yeah. It's like you said, even about the 10% off thing, like, you know, if you can manage that and just try to find a way to not lose a sale, but also still make money, but give a discount to someone, you know, he was hard against that as well.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you know?
Oh, I remember.
So be it. But you have to also prove with success, and otherwise it just goes back to the way it was, right?
Totally.
And you know, there's certain things to fight for that make sense, and there's certain things that it doesn't make sense to fight for this. You know, it's a matter of compromise as to what the direction might be, or how do you achieve something else along those lines that balances it out. I don't know. I think that was with me with him. I could always listen with an ear and understand and go, okay, and present an argument that's not just cause. Right. You know, it had to be substantiated. Substantiated with something like substantial. Dry mouth.
You want some water?
And a lot of people, actually. A lot of people will just say, well, this is X, Y, Z, because Burton does it as an example.
Right.
You know, just because. Right. Because everybody else does it, that makes it the way it should be.
And the Boardroom already had some pretty strong summery brands, like Oakley was kicking ass. Jen Friesen was telling me the other night that her territory was the biggest, it must have been the biggest goggle territory in the world or something. Like because you got Whistler, you've got, I mean, it's the best snow in the world. It's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. You got to remember, like, this is, I don't know, at the time, that block, 4th and Burrard, was the Huntington Beach of surfing. Yeah. You know, HSS Jacks, all the surf shops, anyone who wanted to be there, but we all benefited each other. Totally. Anyone who flew in from anywhere on the planet to go to Whistler would stop by that block, and some had their gear and some didn't, you know, but, and then you had also everyone who lived here. And it was the mecca of snowboarding. Other smaller shops came in, which was fine because it just brought more attention. More
Jackson, I still talk to Mike Jackson. Yeah, that was rad.
That's totally cool. Where is he now?
He's got a shop on Kingsway, not far from here. Should drop in and see it. Jackson General. Jackson General Store. It's called. It's got all sorts of. I think he's still partnered with Steve Sandvey. Remember the Vert guy? Of course. Yeah, Steve's doing bees. He's got the honey and stuff, and so it's a general store. It's cool. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because that would be cool. And Steve too. I'd like to see Steve.
Oh yeah. I know he was spinning honey on social media the other day. So he's just at Maine or Fraser and 41st basically. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I forgot Jackson's a part of the Ontario scene that you were kind of a part of too, right?
So that was He was doing Thriller out here. He
started Thriller, right? Michael Jackson's Thriller, which was so sick. And Byron Briscoe worked for us at the time and went over and worked for him, which was super dope. Yeah, sometimes the small shops were, you know, I remember at the time being like, boo.
How are they going to survive or whatever else?
But I'm stoked. Like, he made it work. Yeah. And he was a part of that feeling.
Just that was the snowboarding thing, right? Like all these small brands, micro brands contributed to the industry. And that going to Vegas, for instance, do you remember the vibes in Vegas of those shows when all this, just these tiny brands was making noise, and it was such a good time and good experience.
We were there the year that Yellow Bus got kicked out. Right. They had to drive the bus out of the trade show because they'd been smoking weed in there or whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like other booths had like hookers in there and shit. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was insane. So back to that corner, if you had some flavor to it that something was different, you know, it only added to the.
Yeah, and you mentioned United. I remember Tony, the United rep, would just come in, and I think he had a standing, not contract, but just like he brought in one rack of clothes, and every weekend he'd come in and sell off the rack to people, and then during the week he'd restock the rack
More, yeah.
and then by the end of the first year, they were like the second or third largest outerwear brand. Like it was like Sessions, NFA, United, and you know it could build the brand, right? So I remember Fred doing that too with Rozzy. And being like, if I was a rep, I would just be in the shop selling my own stuff on the weekends.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Why would you not? Because what are we going to do? Tell them, no, you can't be in here selling your stuff?
Yeah, when
like
we were, especially back then when you were just so stretched, like in the Christmas time, like you were helping 3 people with boots or 4 people.
Wasn't that insane?
It was insane.
Yeah.
And you couldn't hire enough people for that month.
No.
And if reps were available, like you said, they'd come in and work Boxing Day and
it really was the hack. There were 2 hacks. You could give the right person, the right salesman in the store your gear and have them just production sell it out the door. Oh, you need.
Well, do you remember too that back in those days there was, I don't know how it is now. It's been a while, but there was so much promo gear.
Oh.
And it was like too much, and the squeaky wheel on the floor would get set up with everything, and then other people would get nothing. Meanwhile, when it comes to selling it all, you know, one guy would have 3 pairs of boots from different companies. I mean, why aren't you selling my stuff? Well, because I got XYZ brand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's when we started making a list. It's like, okay,
I remember that list.
Who needs boots?
That was insane.
Who needs boards?
Every employee got to put their top 3 picks for boards, boots, bindings, and outerwear.
And you would just try to facilitate and make it clear that their job is to represent this brand. I mean, sell other things too, but, you know, so there was a balance.
Yeah.
And because like you said earlier, it's a business, right? You and I as buyers and Jay Good or whoever else at the time was like, okay, we've now invested in 800 boots from Vans.
Right.
But a 50 from, I don't know, Ride or something.
Sure.
And another 800 from 32. And just because you really like this Ride boot, you can't go sell 50 of them the first week and then we're left with all these, you know,
right,
you had to understand.
But then Jay Hilton would be like, or whoever,
buy more.
Or Russell would be like, yeah, I've got some in my warehouse in Squamish. Like, buy more. These Ride boots are killing it.
And understand, like it's understood. But
remember, Russell did Northwave, but they weren't brave enough to call it Northwave at that point. They called it N boots. Yeah. And blacks, generics. Remember all these random weird brands that were 24/7? It's like they could have blown up, but they
also had like just the worst branding behind them all.
Some of them did. Rad Air. Oh my God, Radical Airline.
It was terrible. I mean, again, there was a lot. There was a lot of good. There was a lot of trash.
I remember
the good ones could have stuck around.
I remember one of the very first closeouts that we bought included some smelly tuna boards that we got maybe 70% off or something. And I remember a kid was in with his friend and his dad was like, you have to pick one of these smelly tuna boards because they were so cheap. And the kid's friend was just going, I can't believe you're going to ride a smelly tuna board. Smelly tuna. Which is
But do you understand the name?
No. Not at all. Oh my God, over at the Lonsdale store, later on, a lady came up with a Billabong hat. Mm-hmm. So is there a double meaning to the word bong? And I go, well, kind of, it's marijuana paraphernalia.
Yep.
And she turns to her son and goes, we don't want a repeat of the Shocker incident. So obviously the kid had a Shocker shirt.
There's so many old school things. Like, remember the wife beater brand? Like things that just should not have. Well, I mean, in this day and age, it would never.
It couldn't. Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah. So that
like the ride, or sorry, I was gonna say Ride. It was the Sims boards, but the Vivid Girls.
Square. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine now.
Oh God, no! You can't do that now. Just
even
porn stars.
Burton at the strip bars doing their, or the movie premieres we did at Cecil.
Oh yeah,
with Grenade.
That Grenade movie premiere was at the strip club.
We did 2 of them. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, remember the premieres? There was a premiere downtown where Mikey LeBlanc did his super famous movie. So sad. People are yelling at the thing right now what it is. But it was a groundbreaking movie. It was insane. It was all.
I don't have the memory for
it.
This.
It was all airs to flat, and Mikey came up for it, and he blackout is whatever. I'll cut it in. I'll cut all this out. Okay. Anyways, it was you rented a theater on Granville Street. We
done a few of them. Like there was we rented the Famous Players at one point. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
And then the biggest one, which probably was the last one, was when 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. I think it was Wildcats premiere at the Vogue Theater.
Wildcats at the Vogue. That was at the Vogue.
And
that one where they had a balcony and there was bottles. People were getting out of control.
And so that was the one we had planned, and then 9/11 happened, and had to drive up with Big J.
Yeah.
Because Big J
from San Diego, right?
Yeah. Because we were down for ASR, and then this happened. Big J was with the Ice Age dudes, no? No, Sector 9 guys. The Sector 9 guys.
Yeah.
And so he was a bit trashed after that, and then so I said, "Look, I'll drive the first leg of it. You recover, and then we'll tap out." And we made it back within half an hour before the start of it for the premiere.
You drove all the way back just to do the premiere.
Yeah.
Was Murray with you that time? Because I remember him.
He stayed down
through. Oh yeah. I remember.
They waited out, and
then we put like Canadian and American flags in the windows of everything. Like he was.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it's
Solidarity.
Crazy what's going on down here, and now it's the opposite right now. All right, we're not talking about that.
Yeah. It's not
in the heyday.
Actually, all the riders couldn't get up here, or the people in the business couldn't get up here.
Oh, no one could, right?
Stuff, right?
Right.
They were all like, even when we did the Billabong store, the designers were turned back at the border for whatever, something from 20 years ago. But Canada was super strict.
Oh yeah, totally. It's always DUIs. It's always DUIs. But yeah. So I remember Mikey LeBlanc talking to Devin at that premiere out in front of the thing. I think I was out for a smoke because I had a real hard time with drinking. Like I had an easy time with it, but like I
keep going.
Yeah, two beers was too many, and a million was never enough. Like I would get wicked wasted. So I don't think I was throwing bottles off the freaking balcony though. Even that was above my pay grade. But I remember seeing Devin go like, Mike, that was one of the raddest movies I've ever seen in my life. And Mike kind of being like, thanks, dude. I wasn't sure how people would respond to it.
Now you're killing me with the name of it.
Yeah, I need to look at it. I know the one that it is.
And what year would that have been?
We can find out right now.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed that I have to look
there were
this
so
up.
many.
Snowboard movie. Yeah, his big ender in it. Not Brainstorm. Not The Revival. These are all Whitey movies. Burning Bridges.
I don't know.
What the hell? All right, I'm gonna get it now because I'm. Yeah, and it's gonna say what it is. Shit. No, man, it's not even on here. They just have this video, Grass, Absinthe, and King Pink stuff. He did his own thing. It'll come to me.
We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. It was really brave. That was the thing. It was the very first movie pre-Video Grass and all those guys that were like, hey, and Robot Food, all of those guys that were eventually going to put together a crew and go like, look, we're not going to do the, Mac Dog standard films, like cutting room floor, everything. We're going to have some fun. And he was like, I'm just going to ollie stairs.
Yeah.
I'm going to ollie stairs and airs to flat on everything. And it was all rails and airs to flat.
Street.
It was all street.
Yeah.
It was sick. And the last thing Ben Bullock built, actually, this giant step down thing.
Well, Mikey was innovative in everything, right? Like
Yeah.
Holden, ahead of his time in so many.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's talk about some of those people. Like, who are some of the people that stand out for you being a buyer for a shop that were coming up with like innovative shit? Do you remember when Jay Brown pitched us Capita?
That was a thing too, right? Like you had all these brands, and then it was, even us having this many and narrowing it down. Then when new ones were coming in, it was just like, do we really need to go back that other way again? Because if you're going to bring something and you got to cut something out, or where are you trading these dollars from?
Yeah, I remember Rev. It was Kirk who was at Rev, and then these Capita boards were being made at Rev. So it was kind of like, well, we should bring a few in. I think we did.
Think a lot of it, yeah, we did in the end, but it was really, or this year 2 or something. I don't think it was right away. And that was the thing. We had a bit of a luxury in some sense because all these other guys were not touching other brands.
Right.
At the beginning.
Then
when Roman came out, for instance, I think they got in with West Beach or whatever. And
Pacific Border, maybe.
Pacific Border, too.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. It was like 2 out of 3 shops would hold a brand.
Isn't that insane?
If you had just one shop, it was very weird, as a brand. And you never had 3.
Who were the M3 guys? Whoever did M3 clothing?
Bob and Todd.
Oh, Bob and Todd that had been doing Airwalk before.
Yeah.
Oh,
they were
sick.
the M3.
Yeah, that shit was sick. Now I'm thinking Mission 6. Sorry,
Mission 6, that was different. Yeah.
That was some expert and guys or whatever. I remember just the stuff was sick.
I don't remember who did Mission 6 from a repping standpoint.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a rep. I think we might have bought that direct.
Right. And remember we had the Jason Ford's brand.
What was that one?
Jesus.
Not Solomon.
It was women's clothing. He was started out with one of the women's specific brands.
Oh, sick.
Another one. We'll look this up after. This will be the whole video. I'll be like, let's go back to Google.
Exactly. That's so funny.
But meeting those guys in Vegas, for instance, that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, some reps, as you know, were very easy to work with, like family.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about it before this, like Tony, for instance, or even the older cats like Peter Lefroy. Or, Harvey Swoiter or whatever, in their own unique in their own ways.
Especially, Russell Couchman
Couchman for sure
was just one of the boys, but he was like from the generation before.
Yeah, and then we would move on to Costigan or whoever else,
right?
Cato or whoever would follow in those steps. But
totally,
I don't know anymore. Who's like I was surprised to find out now who does or who doesn't do anything, or what they do.
Right.
Like because I left, it was 13 years ago, and now to be back. 13 years in the industry, that is, and to see, I'm thinking in my head, everything is going on the status quo in the back in Vancouver or Whistler or whatever, and then I listen to your podcast and I hear everyone's like making hot tubs or something, just weird, like not weird stuff, but just different things.
It's falling apart. Well, there was people were making money. Our friends, like you were friends with Dow and Devin and the Wildcats guys. Mm-hmm. Every single one of those guys was making good money from endorsements. They'd have a full sponsorship portfolio, and they were just making their own movies. It was like awesome. And so like today's equivalent, oh geez, no, really there isn't, there just isn't, because there's no money. There's nobody making that kind of money. Even
specialized industries have it to start, but then they can't maintain it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's always like this. They don't have it to start. They spend it to start. Spend it to start. They don't have it.
Yeah, because people get excited, right?
And then the reality is the shakeout happens. And
I talked to Travis Wood and said, like, there's a chance. Actually, it wasn't Travis who told me. It was Sean Kearns, because he was working with Forum at the time. I'm like, doesn't it kind of feel like Forum never had the money to afford all those superstars? And he said, no, actually, they did.
They did. I heard that. I don't know, but it's crazy to think.
Remember what we were buying from them, like Foursquare, Special Blend.
Yeah, remember how many hoodies or tees alone, the merchandise, the branding that went behind that?
Unbelievable.
More so than we sold more. Actually, in their accessories, we made more dollars and sold more of their accessories than we did in their actual boards and whatnot.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have ever known that.
Yeah, it was,
even though I was a buyer for the shop, and it was my job to know that. That's where I was. I couldn't care about the money side of it. It just wasn't what I was looking at.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was was interesting because you had the longer margins on this stuff too, and it was easy. It was just turnkey. It was like not turnkey, but it would turn over.
Yeah.
But the boards, I think we made more on the clothing than we did on the boards alone. And then the boots were like secondary, and you know all those other things came along, but they always had issues at the beginning. And then
bindings too. Yeah.
yeah, but the outerwear was always quite solid because it was cool looking.
Yeah.
Even if it sucked, people, you know, even if the waterproofing was terrible, people would still buy it because they wanted to rock it. So.
That's true. Yeah. So what's the first event you put on? That Boardroom Big Air that you're talking about. I remember the 3 stops. I think Cypress was canceled for weather.
So that was the funny thing. I think you said it.
Yeah.
Before the Olympics, because we tried to do 3 events, 3 different weekends.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was all in one day. It was like one day.
Yes.
Pro-Am.
That's right.
One day Pro-Am, one day Pro-Am.
Yeah.
And it took us 5 weeks, and we almost canceled it altogether, the final stop. Or maybe, no, I don't think we did. But you'd wake up in the morning, or the forecast would be like it's going to be raining again or whatever else, and then by like 9 a.m. it was blue sky, but you'd already canceled it. Remember that? It was terrible.
Because
it was just like...
I do remember.
There was so much work. You'd have to set up at any event, grooming, whatever. You were the one involved in that. Like that was you. That was
I went up and groomed with Eric Bocat. That's where I met him.
Right.
Sitting in the cat in the fog in the rain, trying to make something for
that never happened.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Right.
So that was, I think that was the lesson. It was like, okay, you know what? Go to one mountain, make it 2-day event, pro one day, amateur the other day, do a party in between.
Yeah.
And make it more manageable.
How did you choose Seymour? Did you put it in front of the other 2 and Seymour just had the most amount of, or did you know Seymour was just a bit cooler at that time?
Well, you say, how did I think we all discussed it. It was more at the time, if I recall correctly, it was, that's where everyone was going. They were the guys that were the most excited to work with, to do anything.
Totally.
And remember the cat guys?
Yeah.
They wouldn't do anything at some of the other mountains unless, like there was no help, I guess, at the time.
Absolutely.
Later on, of course, but at the time, I think it was just easier to work with Seymour. And
that was Andy there at that time. Yeah. Right.
And even Eddie, like all of them, they were just like,
right.
Here.
Yeah, totally.
The mountain's yours. Obviously the cat driver still had a bit of a like control of when you were, that right. Again.
Yeah,
but it was just more, it made sense. It was easy. And then it became slope style.
Right. The way I remember it is Skip helped us the first year. Murray hired a event coordinator, and Shelley too, I think, right? Maybe the 2 of them worked together. But you were like, I want to raise. I'll take that and run with it too. I think I can run the event and run the shop. And it became like your baby a little bit at that time. That's how I remember it.
Yeah. You're right. Again, another name I'm gapping right now, and it's killing me. Uh-oh. You say Skip, you mean like Skip from who did the Kokonia event series, right?
I think so, right?
Yeah,
like
but it wasn't. Well,
it wasn't him. It was what was that guy's name? I see his face.
Yes,
blonde guy.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I'll edit this and I'll tell you. I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
Because I feel really bad not remembering this right now. This is my fucking.
No, but he was on. He was getting paid to run it.
Yeah,
but
he'd done other events.
He was leaning on you in a pretty heavy way.
I had to still deal with the sponsorship. I had to deal with a lot of it. He dealing with the mountains and when it came to the daily events, like he was handling. I mean. That was even the event Nix was announcing, right?
That was my favorite. I've talked about it 10 times on the show because Nix was doing
heckling
the
people.
Snowboard thing.
Yeah.
Chode, he was calling Chad Williams, Chode Williams. And then Murray was losing his mind about it.
Sure.
And then I remember Nix was like, all right, I've been told I have to read every sponsor between every rider, so we're going to go ahead. He just went ham with it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hilarious, and also like I was like a little bit scared that Murray was going to jersey him or something.
Yeah, he wasn't happy because he was heckling people and parents didn't get it, right?
Right.
So they don't know that he's like friends with Sansel and all these guys. When he bailed, he would make a joke.
Yeah.
And all of us are laughing because we know
it was the best.
But if you weren't in the know, you're like the parents got their kid going next. What's he going to say about my kid?
Right.
It was like this. this whole
right. And there were and some of the kids did get heckled because I remember there was a guy who had like a 28-inch stance and he was like a little kid.
right.
And it's
So
yeah.
That was a moment, but it worked out.
I liked it. That was, I think, the one that
And that was a big air, just a big air.
That was
with
just
the quarter
big air.
pipe.
With the quarter pipe. That's what I was going to say because I think Keatley, that's where I kind of met and became friends with Keatley, was at that quarter pipe event. I think he was in charge of shaping it or something, and I forget who won. But it was cool, man. Like those events were super fucking
awesome.
cool.
And the funny thing was, actually, I'll go to this later on. But basically after that, what happened was we turned to slope style because that was kind of the movement. It was cooler. It was not just a big air. It was really using the mountain, and then it was more a matter of like Devin being involved in designing the course.
Cool.
And this is like talk about tail between my legs. That was me on this time because we had spoken about him doing it. He was all keen to do it. Made sense. Not trying, but there was, I'm a planner and I like lead time in order to do anything, and especially these events because they were quite stressful last minute, or they're dealing with it the day of.
Totally.
And so I was always dealing with Boniface, trying to line up Devin to get this done, and
the cat.
But I'm planning in advance, and he's more like, of course, he's got his career, and he figured out the last week before where everything's going to go, and use a natural
snowfall,
just with the terrain of the natural terrain of Mount Seymour, and add on to it,
Yep.
And at the time, remember, there was all the rails. We had the people that sponsored, and there was a million rails up there that we could use.
What a lot of moving parts to this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But so then Devin injures himself right before the event, and he asked me. He goes, can I judge? And my knee-jerk thought was like, well, no, of course not. You can't judge your friends. He's gonna be biased. Like thinking to myself, going, the Olympic events deliberately have judges from every nation,
right?
For
for
whatever
reason,
it is,
right.
a judged event. And I'm just thinking to myself instantly, going, no, that wouldn't make sense, And he's like, fine, I'll just build the event and go home, build the course and go home. And I'm just like going, well, no, I mean, like, and then I start talking with Dow and other people about it, and they're like, why? What is your problem? This and that. And they started giving me the different angle of it. And I'm going,
right.
Yeah, you're right. There's still going to be more judges, and it's just it's his involvement and
him as a celebrity judge is actually kind of a cool thing. Yeah,
absolutely. And there would be other SCA judges involved, right? SCA, no, that's coffee. What with
it was the
Snowboard Federation.
It was the BC Snowboard Federation, BCSF. Was Federation or Association? I can't remember. But when you mention this, it reminds me that we actually were like a training center for judges. So like Shelley would come in and people would pay to take the judging course at the boardroom.
Yeah.
So of course it makes sense that you're going to be like, you can't just like let your friends do it.
Right.
Like, Devin, do you have a BCSA judging certificate? And that would have just been not.
Yeah,
good.
and that wasn't the case. It wasn't even about that. It was just more of a, being biased to your friends or whatever, right?
I got you.
And then I told Murray the story, and Murray, obviously good friends with Devin. Devin used to ride for the shop back in the day, and Murray's like, I'll go talk to him. So we end up going up to the mountain during this whole building thing, and like I said, I have my tail between my legs. And he's talking to Devin, and he goes, yeah, of course, you can do it or whatever. So it smoothed everything over, and he was the head celebrity judge or whatever. But
yeah.
And now that you mention, I remember now the BCSA, Shelley being involved in the first event.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and that might have been just because it was
been
a sanctioned event. Right.
But that would have been the triple, the first.
Could have been the triple.
One. I think that's what it was.
I think it could have been the triple. And then there was a event coordinator brought in, the blonde guy, for the second one.
Dave Clement.
That's right. Nice call. Good recall, man.
And he was amazing.
Yeah.
Super nice, super cool to work with. Had a history in ski racing and whatnot.
Didn't he bring in Cliff Bar or Power Bar or something as a sponsor on top of it and everything? Like, I remember there being power bars there. Maybe
but that would have been Peter Lefroy.
Oh, right.
Lefroy's doing Power Bar.
Unfriggin' believable. Yeah.
And Swix.
And Toko and all the friggin' wax things.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, that event was funny because it was amazing. And as you know, like, it grew and it became the event of the West Coast, but at the time, even the East Coast. I think there was an amateur event. It wasn't like the West Beach Classic or something. It was way bigger, you know?
Yeah.
And it was fun for the riders, like the pros. All
it was epic. Yeah.
Down. We did the one year. It was like 10,000 winner take all, which you could argue was a good idea or a bad idea, but it made noise.
Keatley hated it because he got second place.
Right. Of course. And then what happened was that all those snowboard brands all of a sudden started having their own series.
Mm-hmm.
And this was post 9/11. So you remember insurance? That's when we had the associations before. We had ways to get insurance.
Mm-hmm.
After 9/11, you could not get insurance to the BCSA, and we had to start doing it direct and finding underwriters to do this. And it became costly, but it was manageable. It was doable. And then you had Forum doing their series, Vans
Youngblood series.
Yeah, exactly. So they do
Off
their
the
tours.
Wall series. Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
We had
Volcom
our event.
Peanut Butter and Rail Jam. Right.
And all at our event, it got to the point where like kids were stealing prizes from the prize table. I got in an accident driving home that night.
I remember.
I was so frustrated.
Rode off the van.
Yeah, the Murray Suburban.
Oh, yours was a Suburban. It wasn't.
He rode off his car the night before. He lent his car. And
two in a row.
The next day, I did it to his truck on the Sunday night.
Unreal.
And it was just, it got to the point I was just like, you know, plus it was a lot. Like we would
it was a lot.
Preparation. You do the pro event all day, party all night long, literally go home at like 3, get up at 6, reeking of booze, of course, like whatever, not, you know, and going on and doing the amateur event and then doing the awards and then tear down.
Yeah.
And then, so I got to the point after years, I think all of us were just tired of it, you know, especially when you had all these other series going on, and I don't think people appreciate it the same. So I had its era, and it was like, all right, that's it. You know?
Yeah. The era was good.
Yeah.
That was as good as it got. Yeah. I remember having my daughter in a front pack. So that's got to be the year 2000 or 2001.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I had my daughter in like the Snuggie.
Yeah.
And her little face out the front of the jacket. And we'd done about 4 or 5 runs at Seymour, and then someone was like, "Oh my God, you can't do that."
Really?
Yeah, they were like, "You'll fall on your kid and kill her." And then
you could do that with like dragging the, I don't know.
Sure.
The trainers.
But that was that. So
right.
It was that. Yeah. And then Kokanee Big Air Kokanee Cross came out around that time too. And
that was Skip.
And then they added the Big Air to all that. And also it was post Olympics, and Olympics had just like destroyed everything from the inside, right? There were the two.
That was your joke, actually, because remember when the Olympics had no snow?
Yeah.
You made the joke going, well, if the Olympic Committee just talked to Pear about the snow in the local mountains, they would never have done it here.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we've done so many events with so many bad, you know.
I couldn't believe it when they made the announcement, actually. It was like, I'm like, it's going to suck. Like, there's a 1 in 4 chance that it's going to suck, but that's a pretty big chance.
Yeah.
And
for that big an event?
It was insane. That year, they were buying snow for Cypress from Mount Seymour, like from the parking lot, and trucking it over.
Yeah. It was an amazing event in the end.
You got to go to the half-pipe finals, didn't you?
No.
Somebody did. Murray had a couple of tickets to the half-pipe finals. Were you at the DC place where I saw the half-pipe finals live? I think there was a big party there.
I went to the base at one of the events a little bit, but I'm not a fan of the chaotic events, you know, like
yeah.
And I didn't go up much to it, you know. I watched a lot of it on TV or whatever else, and we did our parties at the Nike thing, but I didn't go to a lot of the snowboard events and whatnot.
Oh right, 2010, yeah. Seth is running the shop. I don't even work there anymore at that point.
No.
Seth's running the shop at Longstrail.
Right.
Yeah. And everything, the eras had changed so much, hey? Like it had gone from shooting fish and selling out of boards every year to this kind of, you know, trying to find the balance between closeout and inline and, you know, how do you navigate, you know, it's not the shop's fault that brands are overproducing, right? And then they're going to sell it they're going to sell their leftover product into either our competitors, or we're going to use it to make.
Yeah, there was always leftovers, and there was always the two markets, right? People who want the new things and whatnot. I don't. It's funny. I'd be interested to know how it is compared to today. Like how much stuff sells
Inline versus.
and what inline really is. What's the market size compared to back then? You know.
I think I've heard, and I'll cut this out if Murray doesn't want me to put it out there, but I think I've heard the BRC sells more units.
Oh, I just mean like
Boards.
sorry, not from the
Wise, you know what I
not
mean?
his stuff, but I was thinking more just in general. Like what, like how big is the industry now compared to then?
Right.
Like of new brand or new product, inline product. Like is it 10% less or is it 50% less? Because we have been talking about lately the price of a lift ticket.
Sure.
Where we are, Whistler.
Yeah.
You know, and if let's say you don't have a season's pass, I heard they're only like $1,200 for a season's pass.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going for a daily lift ticket and you're paying regular price, it's like $250 or something.
Can be, yeah.
And yet, you know, if your snowboard is $600 for the deck,
You're gonna go
and then your
3
lift
days
tickets are $250,
Yeah.
it's like, how does this make sense? You know, it used to, you know, everyone's always said it's a rich man's kind of sport, if you will, but it didn't have to be. Now
Right.
it's like insane. How do you take your family to go snowboarding or skiing?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
The one past guest, Tyler Nickel, who was a celebrity groomer for the Olympics at Cypress. He had been the park groomer at Seymour for a bit, so you might have used him for one of the slope styles. But he was just saying, and I love this idea, like small places like where we grew up that get snow should have community parks that are just hike parks that have been terraformed so that there's maybe a little natural snake run and, you know, a rail somewhere and a jump
Like a skate park.
set up. Yeah. That when it snows, people just hike it. And if they're hitting it on their GT snow racer, that's what they're doing. And if they're hitting it on, you know, just to prop up that, you know, you find the other end of $250 lift tickets.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
And there's no reason that we couldn't have that. There's enough snowy places in the world.
So I was just in Switzerland like 2 weeks ago, and
Sick.
I was thinking about it. It's that, you know, in the winter, the entire country skis. They all know how to. It's part of their going to school. You know,
Right.
they learn how to ski. We're a northern country that's skiing and snowboarding in some areas, anyways. You know, it's one of those things. The biggest sport played in Canada is soccer. Sorry,
Really?
because it's the easiest, cheapest thing that anyone can do it, right?
Right,
And so it's
right.
like it's accessible. We all talk about hockey, but not everyone can afford to do hockey.
Right.
So-
and when we were kids, there seemed like there was a lot more public hockey rinks that were just free to go. They maintained these little rinks.
Right, or if you're
with
in the East
lights and
Coast, it's
shit.
outdoor and it's free.
Outdoor and free.
Right?
Exactly.
And so, to his point, if you had these hills everywhere that people could just access, I mean, I don't know now. Maybe with global warming, that's not as realistic as before.
I have
but,
no idea.
But it's a good vision.
Yeah.
You know,
I loved it.
it'd be
Yeah.
cool.
He's a visionary dude.
Right.
He's awesome. It's been so fun doing the show because, you know, most of the people I talk to are from the era from when I was at the Boardroom. Like that was my golden years of snowboarding. Like snowboarding was just year after year selling out. There was hardly any clear outs of anything, right?
Yeah, in the golden age, it was just you couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
Or you know, and
You
then,
double your order for ride for the next year
yeah,
until you couldn't because you didn't sell all of it.
yeah.
And that was
And
kind
then
of the
everything
turning point.
Slowly started changing.
Yeah.
But
Because more people were still flooding to the market, right?
Mhm.
Like Solomon was coming in and Elam was building up their own internal stuff, or Rozzy with the
yeah,
Imperial.
I mean, you mentioned
and-
2010. I think it was before that. Like,
Yeah,
I think
it was.
I think this started happening earlier.
Oh, yeah. I
But-
think 2008 was like a big shakedown in the industry.
Right.
But I think also 2002 was as well, or 2001 or something.
That's really micro small guys. It was
Yeah.
At the beginning, just like, okay, there was no room left.
That was it. Everybody's tightened up.
Yeah.
Burton really did a really good job. I wasn't paying any attention to them because we weren't selling them. But like seeing how they've
You have a good thing with years. When did they buy Forum?
oof,
2010?
not that late.
Like earlier than that.
Earlier than that.
Right.
Yeah, because the might have been
Because they killed it
2000.
while I was still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, it was when Devin went to DC. Which one did
Oh,
it?
right. So
when did
that's,
that
sorry, yeah,
happen?
I'm way
That's
dated.
really
I'm way
early.
dated then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was wild. That was actually the only question that there were two questions that Donna's team struck from the list of questions I wanted to ask her, and one of them was like, why can't Burton make something cool like Forum or Ronin or Seven? Like why isn't that a bigger part of your business? Why do those things always fizzle out? And then I'm like, well, because Burton is the thing. And that's so rude to ask, because it's like, if they knew, they wouldn't.
Yeah, but often companies that are like that, like let's say that you have like we talked about business, right? They're a business brand. Of course, they have heart at the soul at the beginning of it, or
absolutely.
I
think they
heart
had
at the heart of it.
Yeah, heart at the heart of it. Yeah, all the way through.
But then they're focused on that being a business that's sustainable and successful in an industry that almost no one is.
Right.
And then you all of a sudden want to become this hip, cool brand. The only way you got two ways to do it. You can try to generate yourself with the same, which means you're going to have to hire a whole new crew and take years developing.
Yep.
Or you buy someone else.
Yeah.
You buy someone else, then you have that risk of everybody being like, what? This isn't Forum anymore. And the whole team. Of course, it's like, yeah, can you keep the OG 4-star crew at Forum? And that's not going to happen. Some might, it might be part of the contract that they stay, but generally speaking, it just changes. It's natural,
Yeah.
And it's, I could see why she would strike it out, but I don't know. I really wish I knew the story as to why they would killed it though.
Right, because there was speculation that they bought it to not have to compete against it, but that doesn't make any sense.
I know people can say that because it's like a conspiracy theory type thing,
right,
but it's not realistic.
Business, right? Yeah,
you have a good intention of making money with it, and and then you turn around and go, let's cut the losses. It's like somebody. Yeah. I was just talking to my friend Stumpy about this. Stumpy used to make the tallying sheet on the computers for our slopestyle.
Oh, sick!
And he would come up and be the entering guy. But he went on to have create his own software company, sold it, did really well, and then he got into craft brew.
Oh wow!
And as we're talking about, it's like you buy this business, you have good intentions, you start rolling with it, and things aren't going quite the way you want after years, and you find out later on what these other people were doing, and then it's just like you got two options: sell it now, you cut your loss, or you just keep flogging a dead horse and keep losing money, and then maybe because you're trying to sell it later on or something.
Sure.
Anyone who has money that's seen this in advance, it's like a stock, you just get rid of it and move on,
Yeah.
And I think that's what obviously would happen, but I just would be nice to know the fly on the wall side of things and see like what happened along those years that they were doing it, and what was their direction with it,
yeah
behind the scenes, where did they position it in the realm of Burton, or relative to where it was.
Totally.
And how did they think that they were going to maintain that?
Right, because you guys at Boardroom were still doing Forum when it was Burton. All of a sudden now you're dealing with Burton.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. And then didn't you guys even buy Burton for North Van for a season or something?
Yes, you did. No, I'm kidding. It was there. No, you weren't. You didn't have it when you were there, no?
No, it was a year after.
That's why I said
maybe.
that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. No, it was. They were
somebody.
often on our case about getting it in North Van, and it was. We were talking to. Sorry, let me backtrack.
Yeah.
We were asking them for North Van.
Yep.
And there was times when it would have been a good fit, and then there was other times when they were struggling and they started working on different doors.
Right.
And I think that's when it eventually opened us up over there.
Interesting.
Whether that was good for us or not, you can argue, because like I said, our DNA was multiple different brands having flavor and these relationships with other people, and then all of a sudden you've got this other company that is Burton.
Yeah.
But it's not going to come easy. They're going to want a good representation and chunk
exactly.
of your business.
They're
like as if they own it or deserve it.
Yeah, totally. Right. Like
and so,
they earned it over the years, when really they're just
so it's like turn around and go, here it is.
And you're screwing your guys who've been doing Burton up the block. Like, why? Yeah.
And again, that was part of their struggle though, right? Because everyone was buying less.
Right.
And so
it was
when
a
they're
scary
that big,
time.
you've only got one way to go, is down or just open.
I remember Volcom kicking ass at that time. Like all of a sudden you guys, like Volcom just came out of left field with like Gore-Tex gear that was really, really good and well priced. And
again, it was a North Van thing for us.
Yeah.
It wasn't downtown.
Right.
And so North Van was more of a community store,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like versus say West Fourth brought in
International
from everywhere.
customers, right?
And so your market was limited. Your price point that people would pay for things was more limited.
Totally.
It was more family, which made it more limited, you know. But clearly Volcom Worldwide was killing it. It was doing really well.
Yeah.
And then on West 4th, it was doing really well in the stores it was in. And I don't remember if they only had one door at the time, because there was always talk of maybe they'll, if I recall, sell us, you know, because of the relationship with the other one. But I think they were 2 doors, weren't they?
I can't even remember. I do remember it being a flagship brand for West Beach.
Right. Yeah,
like they were crushing.
And then
it
I
with
think they
Volcom.
went to PB.
PB, right.
Yeah.
And then North Van Boardroom, right.
Right.
And now Target, you know, like
Yeah, like the full cycle.
way.
Where is it now? Where is
all
everyone?
the way, right. Well, the one thing that's crazy about snowboarding is that it feels huge to me. Like it feels like a giant industry, but really it's a subset in a lot of ways. It's a subset of the ski industry that's like a much older industry. Like just because when snowboards were being built, you know, right away, snowboard companies went to ski companies to get them built.
Mm-hmm.
So then the ski companies had all the information, right? Like, okay, this is how many boards we built for Burton last year.
Yeah.
Like, as if we're not going to get a piece of this, right?
Sure.
And so I liken it to like if skateboarding came out, but roller skating already had built all the parks, right? Because we were snowboarding at ski hills.
Mm-hmm.
It was like old money and old cartels from Europe.
Only DC that ever made a snowboard hill, but for themselves.
Right,
was it?
right.
I don't know,
Yes,
like
it was. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
actually, there was the only snowboard only hill was that Hamilton Ranch, the snowboard ranch, which is like back in your neck of the woods. That was right in, that was 94, 95 or something. Actually, it went for a couple of years.
Last though, right?
No, they had to open to skiing eventually.
Right.
It just wasn't, you know, it wasn't prudent. I don't know why we hated on skiers so much anyways. Our boards were pressed at their factories. We're riding their hills and lifts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We just came up with
It's funny because skiers weren't allowed to jump. They
Right.
weren't allowed to build jumps.
Not
and
at
we
all.
come along and it's like we changed the whole planet, right?
Yeah,
the whole
we're
world
jumping
is-
off cliffs.
Yeah. And it's all of a sudden it's allowed.
Jumping
So it's
over
like,
ropes. Now
they
they're
skiers
building.
never wore helmets. We made everyone wear helmets. Like look at what we did for the ski industry.
Totally.
Shape skis, like all the whole reverse camber came back because of that.
Yeah, but all along we were just a subset of that industry.
of course.
That's still the same players today that it was before snowboarding existed, right?
Yeah.
Like for the most part, you know, Capita bought the Elan factory and is running stuff out of there.
Yeah, I mean, if there's factories available, and
It's pretty
you
cool.
know, the infrastructure is huge, right?
But huge for us. And when you look at other industries, like snowboarding is so niche.
Absolutely. When I say huge, I mean investment. Like to start something like that, if you're, you know,
Yeah.
not everyone could do it, and you wouldn't do it anyways because you would never be building enough to justify it. You know, you
Yeah.
have to farm it out.
Yeah, when I left and went to K2 for a 5-month stint in Toronto,
Yeah.
they were switching over their factory from Vashon Island to China. And I remember it was a big debate. Like for me it was. For them, they're like, dude, this is a no-brainer. We can have kids, we can have people over there making our boards for 1/10 the production cost.
Yeah.
And shipping's next to nothing. Like international shipping costs almost no money.
And almost every other component was already made over there. Like
Yeah.
all the clothing, all the, you know, all of that was already done. It's just the hard goods side of it. And it was just like, why is this so rebelled against? I mean, obviously why. Quality control was terrible at the beginning.
At first, yeah.
It was. So there's certain things that you want to be groundbreakers on, certain things you don't. I think that was maybe one of them. But
Yeah. But nowadays, I mean, with our friend Rob making wired boards, he makes some in China, and you know, I've watched those.
That's where
guys,
they're being made now?
Some of them.
Okay.
I've watched those guys hand make boards in Vancouver for the last 7 years,
Yeah.
and they're meticulous. And
Mhm.
Rob says it's difficult for them to make a board as good as the China boards because they have different machinery over there.
Right.
They've got like more cutting edge.
Well, it's like making a ceramic piece of pottery from your hand versus someone making it out of a mold. You know,
That's
you can
it.
only do so much to make it so
That's
good.
right. Yeah.
But it's a one of a kind, if you will.
Sure.
It might have some problems here and there. I don't know.
I rebelled against it for years and years. You know, I was like, I'll never ride a Chinese board. I just don't want to on principle. But then some of the materials are already from China in the hand laid up boards here in Vancouver.
I don't think is it a discussion still?
It's not a discussion anymore.
I mean, I know it's funny actually. With Never Summer,
made
in the USA.
It's gone
now.
The other way.
Right. So now what do you do if you're Canadian and you want to buy
Right. Never Summer people are like, wait, this is made in the USA. No thanks.
But if they only knew the truth behind the brand and who they are, they're just dudes making snowboards, right? Like this whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is ridiculous. Like that's just the bottom line. Is that
no one supported Option because they were made in Canada. Well, maybe some did, but they didn't
some
support
people
them enough to keep them alive.
Not to keep them in business just because it was made in Canada.
Or Rev or anyone else.
Yeah, I think that the politics now have, I don't know, man.
We shouldn't get into politics.
So stupid. I'll tell you this much: snowboarding's exactly the same. Like you go down to Mount Hood, you go down to Mount Baker. Man, I interviewed Duncan Howard last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the heyday of when he was like a skier, which he still is in his 80s, but in the heyday when he was young, they were putting up a lift tower or something, and they had heli time, and they had heli time left after it was up. And so he said, "Okay, well, lift these couches and a few things," and they went to the top of Mount Baker proper, like the big volcano. And they put couches down there and a table, and they
smoked a joint.
smoked a cigar, and drank whiskey and played cards and took pictures of it.
Wow.
Because like that's what it was at one point. I mean, we got to do heli together.
Yeah,
we've done heli.
No, that was the thing. I was explaining this when we were up in Worcester last couple of days ago. It's just like that era. You were heli, catboarding. I mean, I think catboarding still for a lot of you guys, but
a little for a couple of us. Yeah. It's not
fair enough.
Yeah, like you could just be the guy who got a job in November at the shop part time, and you might win a heli trip at
Christmas, and you're there in January going, I never thought of this in my life. Right?
This
I've never
is
had
epic.
anything like this before.
Well, and I also didn't realize how exclusive heli is. You talk to people in Europe that they don't have helicopter skiing. There's no heli access. It's really over here only. Yeah,
it's pretty weird.
And the best of it's in BC, and we would get to go just like on a Vans trip or whatever.
Heli, I think I was twice.
You
once
did
with Rosinal and
Rosie and one with Vans. Did you do that first heli trip where we just paid $100 and got 4 bumps?
No,
that was before you started. Yeah. That was the show.
I went with
Sean Fulton days. Oh, sick.
With Fred.
Oh, wow.
We were in Whistler for the Ski and Snowboard Festival, and it was like they were like, "Hey, there's a spot tomorrow. Do you want to go?"
Yes.
And it's like, okay.
Yes, I do.
Unexpected, take it, and so that was my first heli experience. So
that's super fun.
But so random, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking as a lot of people now, us old cats who used to go ride all the time. For the record, I've ridden 3 runs in Spain in the last 13 years, and this is my year to get back into it.
Yeah, get back into it, bro.
And I wanted to, I just couldn't. But for the record, so anyways, but a lot of people would just basically make a 1-week heli trip or something, or 4 or 5 days or whatever. Just like, that's my trip, or 1 day heli. You know what I mean? Like 1 week heli, 1 day.
Yeah.
If it's 1,000 or whatever, I don't know what it costs now. But
it's a lot.
You'd have the best runs of your year.
Yeah.
Good enough. Like,
that's it.
Instead of standing in line dealing with all the other components of snowboarding.
Yeah. Which I love it. I kind of love.
It's part of the scene, right? Like,
I love going up at night and riding the last hour when everybody else, even if it's raining or something, like that's when I think about snowboarding with you, that's when we were going. Was like night riding
every day after
with
work.
Jeff Andrick and with like Big J and with like just
you
going
get in the car,
work.
the van. Remember the van? You crack a couple beers, smoke a joint. You go up there and you start riding. I was explaining them the story, going like that was, that was the era.
I remember Murray in the Suburban the first time I went to Whistler saying, you know what's the only thing better than a beer on the way home after riding Whistler? And I was like, no, what? He goes, two beers.
Okay, so I got a Kevin Bakota story, which is similar to this. It was just, I don't know if he'll care, but
I do.
You know, we were going up to the Can-Am, and I caught a ride with him, and we pulled over, get some beers or whatever, and he's like, you know, I don't believe in drinking and driving, but I don't have a problem drinking while driving, as long as you're responsible, right? So we're like cracking beers on the way up to the Can-Am. And I'll never forget that one. Well, it's kind of true, really. Like, you know, there's some states where there was. You could drink, like New Hampshire, you could drink while driving, but you still, if you're over the limit, you're fucked.
If you're over the limit, you're over the limit, right?
I think that's changed now, but it'd be funny to do like an old boardroom reunion if you get the old cat days and just do
like everybody. Well, that was what the 35th anniversary
I guess so,
was
yeah.
like.
I was just,
and it was crazy to see.
Sorry, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was crazy to see. Like, I'm trying to think of like some deep cuts. Well, Scarpa was a deep cut for me to see there.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys were writing me or called me or someone. Like a couple of people called me from the
Big
event.
J, that's right.
Yeah.
We must have sent you videos or something.
Yeah, and I didn't go. I couldn't go.
Yeah, you live in fucking Spain, dude.
Yeah.
And what are you doing in Spain? Let's get to that because people want to know.
Sure.
Because you essentially, I need to just say it. I don't need to make you say it. Like when you left, it wasn't like anyone knew where you went. Like you just kind of were gone. You didn't live in town anymore, and we weren't like hanging out anymore. It was like you were gone.
Yeah. So my wife and I separated, and I went traveling, and I went traveling to Europe. That's where I wanted to live. I'd always wanted to live over there.
Yeah.
And I was at this, just kind of rediscovering what's going on with my life, and I was waiting to figure out not I was waiting, but we were waiting to see how things were going to go with us. And then a year later we decided, okay, we're calling it, sold the house, apartment or whatever. And then long story short, I just moved over there permanently in Barcelona. And Barcelona I picked climate, skateboard scene, snowboarding is actually nearby. That's my lifestyle was more about running at that point, doing marathons and whatnot. So training was good, and but that first 5 years, that first while, I was basically reinventing myself, and I got into this coffee thing, and so I was doing that basically, meaning I study everything I could about coffee, and drinking it, roasting it, tasting it, and I'd never been a barista.
Roasting it in your apartment, right?
I had this like little Hucky roaster, which is like a 500-gram roaster, and I would like gas and air control it like a production roaster, so I could learn. Like there was other styles you can get, but I wanted to actually learn hands-on what to do, and that's kind of why I fell off the planet to everybody else, because I had no life. I wasn't contributing at all, and I basically was conserving all the money I had in order to start a business, and so to start something that I wanted to do. And I always wanted to have a brand. We came from a branding industry,
totally.
And I don't necessarily mean branding in a sense like, oh, big DC logo, but there was that too going on, but just to have a different brand, do something different.
Well, coffee's kind of like that, right? Like especially like the artisan small coffee shop roaster thing.
I mean, so I was at this event, this Barista Guild event, and it was so funny because it reminded me of when we started at the Boardroom. And what I mean by that is that, specialty coffee, learning. I didn't know anything about it at the time. I was just figuring it out. And you'd go to this event and people would be like, people want sugar in their coffee, and I just say no, and they want this and that, and I just say no, and they're just like got their nose in the air about it. And then in this other component of this event, they're having these interviews with people, and they're going, well, look, in Spain it's really hard to sell a coffee for €2. Like the industry is like €1 or 120, like very much like in Europe. But you go to Scandinavia or whatever else, and they're paying for coffee, and especially coffee costs more to produce. It costs more along the supply chain for many reasons. And I just thought to myself, it's like, and they were having roundtables about this, about what you could sell a coffee for, and people were just, it can't be done. And all I thought about was our old industry is like going, okay, well, we were selling snowboards for a deck for $700, you know, and yet,
$750,
yeah, and Sport Check had them for $150, or Black Snows or whatever else.
Totally.
And yeah, there's parents that can't afford it, but then there's others, they would come and go, why would I buy this instead of that one? And you'd have to go through the sales process, or not even selling, the explanation as to why. And it's the same thing, you know, like if you didn't know what you were doing or why, of course you can't sell it, and you already made your decision, you can't do it, and you're just bowing out, right? And that's
totally
specialty industry versus something that's more mainstream. So anything specialized costs more. Anything specialized has to have a story, has to have a reason for it. And so I just laughed at all this stuff, and I'm going, you know what? I don't want to tell people what they do. It's their coffee. If they want to put fucking something in it, doesn't mean I'm going to put it in it, but you've bought it. You can do what you want with it. And so then I wanted to create this brand that, you know, sorry, not a brand. Create a brand, of course, roasting business, but also in a space that helps people appreciate coffee. And I have three partners, by the way. Jay Good, who I think you know, people in this industry will know, and two friends of mine from university, Runner Rob, who you would have met, and Mike Nielsen, who you would have met too at one point.
Yeah.
So
how are you coordinating with your partners? Just email and stuff? Like they're all over here. And
so Jay's in Bali now after his stint with Vans.
Yeah.
And he's got a juice company over there with his wife, called Barrow Juice. And then you have my
Barrow, like BARROW?
No. Bar, BAR.
Yeah.
Or Juice, GUS. I'll show
Bar
you.
Juice.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
All right.
And then
Sick.
Runner Rob is in Kelowna now, and Mike lives in Victoria. So we do like video calls or email, or emails as a group, but it's usually more video calls or text, whatever, and communicate things as needed.
And you're running the whole show, like the day-to-day?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my background was, I was a roaster, right?
Yeah.
And to be clear, I'd never worked in hospitality. And when I left, I was done with retail, you know, but hospitality is not the same, but it's very similar in many components of it. And, you know, I wrote a business plan, and I gave it to these guys, and I said, here, this is what I want to do. And I explained why. They, you know, I think for them, specialty coffee wasn't really on their map either.
Right.
And now more so, but, you know, it's not something, you know, Jay probably more than the other guys. But it was basically like, okay, here's why. I want to explain what coffee's all about, help people appreciate it. And so you go to the roastery, it's like when a winery, you can taste it. We have a cafe, so you have your coffee experience where you see how we want to present it. And you have the roastery that you can witness roasting going on. You can learn, there's education in it. But you go to a winery and you taste wines. You can have dinner there. You can see how it's made. There's a shop so you can buy wines. You have a better understanding of what that winery is about and appreciate it more. And a lot of specialty coffee shops didn't have this. They just had basically their reasons why you can't do this or can't do that.
Right.
And that's changed a lot since then. This was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or 9 years ago, I should say. The business started a few years ago, but this concept was back then. So yeah, now we're doing that. No, the business is more for wholesale, for distribution, but I knew the cafe needed to be there from a marketing standpoint, but also an experience standpoint. So when it was instant cash for us.
Yeah.
So you're selling coffee right away, and you have, you know, like anything you distribute, you have longer margins in production and whatnot. So. And I think also for me, the big thing I had said, I wasn't in hospitality before, so I needed to learn how to be a barista that was actually serving drinks to the public. You know what I mean? Like I can make stuff at home. I have an espresso machine at home, but unless you're in daily workflow, dealing with problems and whatnot. And so if you're selling to some other cafes, you really want to have a place to R&D your coffee, really, you know what I mean? Like what's
Sick.
going on with it. So there's a
very
problem with
similar to the option board, you know, thing for snowboarding or wired or whatever. Like you're R&Ding stuff right on site and coming up with your branding,
coffee
your
profiles
line.
and what you're doing, and you're cupping it constantly, and every roast you cup, and then if there's something that's off, we can use it in our own cafe or sell it as a test roast, you know. But if you have a wholesale client, that coffee has to be perfect every time. That's what they're expecting, right?
Exactly.
Not changing all over the map and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's not even going to get into different origins and
beans
what people
and
want.
all
There's
the
so many
things.
different.
Yeah.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Hence the name Abyss Coffee, which was, it came from Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss.
Sick,
and
dude.
it had to have something, an element that ties back to my life, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
And that's what it is. It's like a rabbit hole. So you're going in the abyss. You don't know what you're getting into with it. Once you start, it's just like it never ends. And a roaster's idea is to find out what that coffee has, because it's insane how different they are. The coffee wheel is pretty complex. So it's fun. It's interesting. So it's like a new chapter.
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah. And now you're going to put everything together. Go snowboarding.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, right? Any new business, no one has a life, and so
no, true.
So I brought my snowboard stuff over to Europe right before COVID, and then COVID hit, which no big deal. But right after that, we started planning the business and looking for locations, and then other things in life have come up. But so be it. So now this year is the golden age to snowboard again.
Well, welcome back to BC for your trip.
Thank you.
It's been super sick getting to hang out with you the last couple of... did we just hang out that one night? That was it? I can't remember.
Night.
No. Then the next
the
day too, we went and saw Clarence, which was sick. Yeah. I had to double check that his art was in the Louvre, because I was like, wait, am I just
making stuff up?
Making shit up? Like, because that's fun for me, because when you met me, I was still making shit up. Like, I'd come through high school a bit of a bullshitter. Like, that's how I got on Rad Air or whatever.
Right.
Did all that stuff. Like, it was there was some just fantasy to my life. And then I decided I don't want to be a liar anymore. But then, now we've got the Dr. Google. You can find out anything anytime.
Dude, I don't think you were lying. You are the best storyteller and creative mind out there. I think even those slope styles, all those, remember the monster truck TV, the commercials for those you came up with?
Oh my God.
You
I
always
forgot
had
about
ideas
all that
that were
stuff.
just mind blowing.
Oh, that was so fun. Yeah, that really
fun.
actually was like so fun when we were just like getting to create things. Yeah, we'd go to the like radio stations, right? Yeah, that was really fun.
And you were on the TV show too, morning show with Tom Cochran or whatever, and you were talking about snow. Wasn't that you? That was you,
remember,
right?
Probably. Yeah, I definitely have done the morning shows. It was really fun.
Yeah, the face of the shop.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was just, I really liked doing that stuff. And it was, everybody wanted a bit of a piece of like snowboarding, the hot new thing or whatever. And it was such a cool era
it's amazing
to be a part of. And you were a great dude to work with. Like, I really have a really nostalgic memory of like the times that we worked together. It was super fucking rad.
Thank you. I think everyone was. The whole crew was. It was a special place.
Yeah. It was a really hard place to leave because of the people. Yeah. The job could get tedious, but the people and those parties and events and things, holy shit.
The stories could go on. Dave Cashin at the wakeboarding party.
God. When he smashed the lamp in Murray's room and then was just losing his shit.
Showing up naked and stuff.
Yeah, that was so pretty fun. Oh yeah. He was like, "You're fired. Okay, you got your job back, but we're having a party and you're not invited." And then he shows up in a limo. That was the best part. He shows up in a limo, walks up to the owner's wife, drops his pants. Like, it's like, wow. Oh my God, dude.
You're gone again.
You're gone again. You're fired again, buddy. Yeah, Big J reminded me that I got him fired because he was smoking weed at work. Sayed Nasir we had to fire for smoking weed at work. But we're going to let him.
You're not supposed to be doing those things.
No, you're not supposed to. And we were like, okay, as long as you don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And now we'll give you, let you off with a warning.
Honestly, all those events that we did, Murray was so lenient to. Like all of those events were stuff that we go down. You were like, this would not fly anywhere else. And a lot of people would not. I mean, I guess that's the industry too, but he was amazing that way. I don't know now. I can't say. I'm imagining it's probably the same. But
yeah, I think it's Max now. I think Max is running the show, and I'm not 100. I don't think kids are like how we were. My kids,
right. Gen Z. They're a little bit more.
Right, because Fred's kid and my kid worked at the shop, and neither of them were like crazy party kids. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, not that we were crazy party kids, although we did.
No, we were. You know,
Yeah.
today happens to be my 52nd birthday, and I'm just like going. I remember being like 26, thinking, okay, I'm not gonna live.
Not gonna be
it's
here.
not gonna make it. So now, you know, for that, there was a while where you were like, I'm older. Now I'm like, I made it. I made it.
I felt like I made it when I was 28.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just turned older than Jimi Hendrix.
Right?
That's crazy.
Right? If all the
That's
rock
crazy.
stars are in the 27s.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, happy birthday, dude.
Oh,
and
thank you.
thanks for doing the show.
Oh,
Fucking
thank you for
love you a
having me. I don't know.
lot, dude.
I'm not really at the history of snowboarding, but
That was really fun.
You're the guest, but I just want
No. I mean, you're a really important person in the Vancouver scene and in BC and in Canada and in my life through snowboarding. Like you were there. You witnessed that shit. That was real.
Yes,
We really did
we all
that.
did.
Yeah,
We
that
all
was
did.
wild.
It was fun.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
FNRad shoutouts this week to Pear and his brother Jughead. Thanks for taking the time to do the show, guys. I wanted to thank everyone who's participated in the draw for PJ's Death Label Snowboard with Union Bindings. We'll be doing the draw soon, so get your tickets to the draw by purchasing one of our $5 items from FNRadpodcast.com, and please come back next week for another episode of the FNRad Snowboard Podcast, presented by Flojoy Water and brought to you by FNRad Productions.